Dr. Abu-Salha.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, esteemed members of Congress, and ladies and gentlemen. February 10, 2015, that was the day our lives changed forever when my two daughters, Yusra and Razan, and my son-in-law, Dia, were shot to death execution style in Yusra and Dia's home in Chapel Hill. When we arrived at the scene, yellow tape and flashing lights froze the blood in our veins. We had waited almost 6 hours before police officers confirmed that Dia, Yusra, and Razan had all been shot to death. In a desperate attempt to make it bearable, an officer whispered, and I quote, "They didn't suffer, it was swift, it was one shot to the back of the head." Well, his statement did not make it any more bearable, and nothing did. News about their deaths spread all over the internet and media over the globe. But we never heard in the media that the murderer hated them. Trouble began when this man observed my two daughters appearing on the scene, adorned with their hijabs. I remember my Yusra telling me that this condescending man told her he hated how she looked and dressed. He made it very clear to my children that they were not welcome in their own neighborhood. I must be one of a few physicians, if not the only one, who read his own children's murder autopsy reports in details. They are seared into my memory. Bullets macerated Yusra and Razan's brains. Dia took many bullets to the arms and chest before he fell down to the ground, and after that, the murderer saw that he was still breathing and shot him again in the mouth. The last time we saw them in their coffins, Yusra's forehead was bulging and her hazel eyes had turned gray and lifeless. What was once Razan's warm and smiling face filled with life was now lifeless, stone cold, and deadly pale. Dia's face lacked expression, and he had a broken tooth from that final shot to the mouth. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to testify before you, but I want you to remember more than their deaths. I want you to know who they were and what we have lost. Yusra was a vibrant 21-year-old woman who always found ways to give to others in every aspect of her life, from volunteering at a dental clinic for Syrian refugees in Turkey to feeding the homeless in downtown Raleigh and building houses for Habitat for Humanity. She graduated from NC State University and was accepted at UNC Schools of Dentistry to be with the love of her life, Dia. Razan was 19 years old and was so full of life. She was a gentle soul, generous giver, talented artist, a photographer. Razan was a freshman at NC State University's School of Design and aspired to be an architect. During her freshman year, she mentored and taught youth, and she led Project Downtown, feeding the homeless in Raleigh and Durham with meals tagged with inspirational and personalized notes. She wrote, "My wife and I raised them to be Muslim Americans, proud of their country and their community, as Muslim as apple pie. As American as apple pie. That can be Muslim too." My son-in-law, Dia Barakat, was a smart and kind young man who was studying dentistry at UNC Chapel Hill. Dia was an avid basketball fan, but not of Duke. And was so proud of his hometown. Dia was a compassionate, caring individual who spent much of his time giving back to those in need, including getting free dental supplies to the homeless. Although Yusra and Dia were only married for 6 weeks, so 6 short weeks before they were murdered, those were the happiest days of our lives. Ladies and gentlemen, what happened to our children was a home invasion and execution. 3 beautiful young Americans were brutally murdered, and there's no question in our minds that this tragedy was born of bigotry and hate. This has happened on too many occasions. Families like mine, regular Americans living regular lives, are left without hope that justice will truly be served. Our families were fortunate to have Muslim advocates and other lawyers supporting us every step of the way, but not everyone is so lucky. I am afraid for our country. In 2016, the FBI recorded a 67% increase in anti-Muslim hate crimes. And just weeks ago, a young man in Indiana was shot in the back of the head by a man shouting anti-Muslim slurs. And we miss our children so much. At times, the pain is just as sharp now as it was when they died. And I ask you, I truly plead to you, not to let another American family go through this because our government would not act to protect all Americans. Please remember them, Yusr, Dia, and Razan. They are my children, and they are gone.